What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist here, and today I am bringing you more 40 facts on the Warhammer 40k universe. This time it will be a slightly different facts. We will be covering a fan-made chapter. This chapter was made by the legendary Blazbaros. Now this guy, he's an artist. I will link his deviantart down below in the description, as well as the link to this article. Now his Legion, or chapter rather, is a very awesome chapter. It's got great lore to it, and he even has some awesome pictures to go along with it. Now I believe he did all the pictures himself. Actually, he did all of them. They're painted and everything. Awesome stuff. So without further ado, let's get into The Eternal Legion by Blazbaros. Through a great deal of speculation on the Inquisition's part, it is believed that the Eternal Legion was actually created during the ill-fated and cursed founding, a time where chapter gene seeds were being tainted and horribly ravaged by the newly found chapters. Whether or not the Eternal Legion suffered any crippling mutations has yet to be seen, but the chapter's practice of replacing limbs with bionics could allude to the removal of mutated limbs in an effort to hide these deformities. The elusive nature of the chapter has also made it difficult to ascertain the full strength of the fighting force. It is believed that they are a fleet-based chapter, constantly roaming around a subsector of the Segmentum Ultima, known as Apollo's Abyss, reminding the inhabitants of the Emperor's presence and ensuring their loyalty within the Imperium. However, without any known homeworld, the chapter has claimed the gas giant Bethsaida as their staging ground within their conflict. Based on the number of vessels, the chapter is under a standard 1,000 Marine strong force, and must be actively recruiting the subsector to recoup their losses. Upon their arrival onto the Forge world Hephaestus, the Eternal Legion's actions have been well documented. They have shown an aptitude towards combating the Necron threat, having claims to the destruction of well over a score of tomb worlds. It has been known to them to actively seek and destroy the undying machines across the galaxy, using small strike forces, or even entire companies, appearing out of nowhere to readily ally themselves with already engaged battle brothers or regiments of the Imperial Guard. Such timely arrivals are lauded, as their appearance often shift the tide of battle. They are renowned for their prowess in urban warfare. The Eternal Legion has also established themselves as the premier combatants of the horrific Necrons. It comes as to no surprise to any within the Astartes that the Eternal Legion have taken up the ritual of removing broken limbs with something more mechanical. After all, turnabout is fair play when fighting a foe who is capable of disappearing from the battlefield and return, if not completely destroyed. To say the Eternal Legion model for combat behavior after Necrons would be an accurate assumption, if not unwise to speak aloud. When engaged within urban environments, the Eternal Legion makes great use of tactical shields, as well as the various bionics they've attached themselves with. With any such array of cybernetic implants, it's no wonder they have a stance to reduce acceptable losses at every turn. This mentality also extends to their allies, who will even go out of their way to protect a reckless guardsman or an overzealous battle brother. After combat, the Eternal Legion, most often than not, stay behind to overlook the rebuilding of essential assets. The world in question calls for it. Unless they are called elsewhere urgently, Legionnaires do not see it beneath themselves to construct new defenses and fortifications for their allies who will stay behind. Their homeworld planet is a swirling, stormy gas giant, and has long been the rallying point for the Eternal Legion, for reasons unknown outside of the chapter. Observers have seen ships come and go out of the atmosphere, rumored to be landing on some sort of battle station or ship hidden inside the clouds. These rumors are true enough, for the Eternal Legion keep their most coveted secret within the gas giant. It is the Bastion of Eternity, the Legion's fortress monastery and ultimate weapon against the enemies of the Imperium. This bastion is an archaeotech vessel from ages long past, a vast cathedral-like battle station in the likeness of the Ramses-class starfort. Towering edifices hewn of decrete and adamantium are bristled with gun stations and torpedo ports, decorated with ancient gargoyles and mighty heroes. Spacious hangar bays, one in each of its 4 wings, can house many smaller ships, with room to spare for massive strike cruisers. At its center is a pyramid-like structure rising out of the four wings. With a gigantic turret of terrifying firepower mounted on each of its corners, the twin-barreled Cataclysm lance cannons are not yet operational, but are still a fearsome sight to behold. Between them still rises a tower, a carving of an angel portrayed on each of its faces, with a shrine located at its apex. This tower contains the quarters of the Eternal Watchmen, the elite warriors of the Legion who stand overlooking the void. At the shrine's center is a blazing orb, the Lamp of Heaven, containing the sacred light of Methuselah, one of the most holy relics of the Eternal Legion that they have in their possession. It is said that if the light was to ever go out, the galaxy would be engulfed in a great tragedy that no force would be able to stop. So the Watchmen stand guard, keeping a close eye on the lamp, vigilantly holding back the encroaching darkness. And now we dive into a bit of this chapter's history. During the 5th Black Crusade, when the Demon Prince Doombreed again began his own Black Crusade against the Adeptus Astartes, the Eternal Legion was one of many to respond. As a fledgling chapter, it wished to establish itself as a force to be reckoned with, as well as embedding its name into the annals of Imperial history. The following is a closely guarded secret. Most records of it were destroyed purposefully. The current chapter master at the time was Ares or Boris, and he was a proud man filled with determination to bring glory to the Imperium. He felt that the defense worlds was best left to other chapters and instead fought in every theater of war that he could, feeling that this was the best way to draw out Doombreed and meet him in open combat. What he did not know was that each kill he made was a sacrifice to the blood god Khorne, and this made his adversary even more powerful. Frustrated, Ares draws plans to attack at the heart of the Chaos Fleet, to meet them before they push further into Imperial space. The core of the Chaos forces had eluded the Astartes thus far. Ares believed that they were using a ship as their base of operations, keeping it as mobile and hidden from the eyes of the Imperium. Several times reports have been made of spotting massive Desolator-class battleships, leading to the attacks on planets, and then disappearing before Imperial forces could retaliate. This vessel came to be known as the Dreadblade, its seat of Doombreed's power, annihilating any enemy that it encountered. Currently, its whereabouts still remain unknown. Exhausting every other way to locate the Dreadblade, Ares and his fleet leaves for the most recent battle that the ship had appeared in. Aboard the battle barge Excelsior, the navigators by themselves are unable to distinguish one warp signature for another. Xerxes, Ares' faithful chief librarian, melds his mind with the navigators, pooling their psychic powers together. Within moments they discover the presence of a massive ship that was once in the system and quickly locks into its coordinates. Hopefully, when they reach this ship, if it is indeed the one they're looking for, the navigators will be able to memorize its signature and then be able to locate it accurately in the future. When it exited out of the warp, they come face to face with the lone Dreadblade. Their arrival was expected, and the Eternal Legion fleet was greeted with a barrage of cannon fire and Melta torpedoes. Ares and his council scrambled to counterattack, watching as if their escorts were being torn to pieces by the initial assault. The navigators concentrated as best they could, focusing their minds on the Dreadblade. A few began to convulse and shake, their bodies coming under strain from being so close to the power of chaos. One by one they dropped dead to the floor, overwhelmed by the warp. Suddenly, the Dreadblade turned away from the Eternal Legion and fled. Doombreed must have known what they were trying to accomplish. What he did not know is that one navigator survived. This navigator was barely alive, and he was being held together only by the Legion's apothecaries. They believed the best course of action was to merge him with the ship, providing a direct link from his mind to the ship's cognitators. Once engaged, they would be able to actively hunt the Dreadblade. As soon as they did, however, something went terribly wrong. They immediately leapt into the warp, hurling into the unknown. Warning sirens blasted all over the ship, indicating a breakdown in the Geller field surrounding the vessel. Demons prodded at their defenses, manifesting in corridors and even on the bridge. The Eternal Legion was caught off guard, but still fought back vigorously. They could not contain the incursion. They were pushed from the bridge and scattered all over the battle barge. Xerxes, however, held his ground and fought back the demons, sealing off the bridge from another attack before the possessed navigator could deactivate both the life support and the Geller field. Xerxes interrupted his thoughts and engaged him in a mind war. The demon inside him was powerful, and he had a firm grasp on the navigator's soul. If Xerxes pressed his mental attack, he would kill both the demon and the navigator, losing their advantage in finding the Chaos command ship. Meanwhile, Ares and his veterans regrouped and gathered the last squads together, battling the remaining demons that had entered the ship. Once clear, they headed to the bridge, only to be stopped by the servitors under the navigator's control. It was a mere stall for time. The demon had almost wrestled away from Xerxes' grip. Cutting into the door, the legion burst onto the bridge, removing the link from the possessed navigator's mind. Suddenly, the Eternal Legion dropped out of the warp, and the Excelsior tumbled into the heart of battle between the forces of the Imperium and the Traitor Marines. In the confusion, they collided with a Chaos strike cruiser, tearing the command deck clear off of the ship. Disabled for the moment, the Imperial forces turned out to be a company of Thunder Drakes, finished off the strike cruiser, and then routed the remaining Chaos ship. Ares regained control of the Excelsior, and he was thanked by Gario Stormboard, the Thunder Drake chapter master, for his timely intervention. Gario and his followers were too taking an active part against Doombreed and his Black Crusade, albeit a more cautious, ponderous approach. Ares proposed that they should join forces and use their newfound advantage to strike at the forces of Chaos and end their assault. The possessed navigator was hesitant to reveal such intervention, but had a strange change of heart in the middle of the interrogation. Doombreed's Dreadblade lay hidden within the Black Nebula, a torrential cloud of chaotic energy where no ship has ever returned. Gario urged Ares to take caution in listening to the demon's world, where they should be true or false. Ares found no alternative path to finding the traitor command ship, and he was not patient enough to find another one. Persuading Gario to join him, the Jude chapters made their way towards the Black Nebula. They finally found what they were looking for, and at the precise moment, Ares, along with 2 companies of Eternal Legionnaires, launched wave after wave of assault rams into the hull of the foul vessel. The Space Marines poured into the Dreadblade, quickly securing defensive positions to stage their main attack. The Mjolnir came about from its initial assault and made a spectacular broadside attack against the engines, knocking them out and causing the Dreadblade to float adrift. However, the internal damage caused by the attack punctured the ship's warp reactor. It was now a time bomb, waiting to explode. Ares ignored Gario's warnings, determined to break into the bridge and confront the Doombreed himself. The Legion's chapter master pushed back the Chaos Marines until their blood coated with the blast doors, bearing passage onto the command deck, but they still held firm. With time running out, Gario decided to give in to Ares' battle plan and launched a wave of Thunder Drakes toward the command deck. Drop pods tore through the defensive lines set up by Traitor Marines and smashed in and through the hull of the Deathbraid's command deck. Ripping through the defenders, Gario and his Huskarls paved the way towards the bridge and released the locks on the blast door. Finally, Ares and Gario stood before the Demon Prince's vacant throne. Angry beyond belief, Ares shouted in rage for Doombreed to appear, calling him weak and a coward. And with a cackle and a burst of laughter, Doombreed made his appearance, sitting on his throne with a devilish smile across his face. Ares then declared that Doombreed's Black Crusade had now come to an end. The demon merely laughed even more, finally composing himself to speak. He had let his location be known to the possessed navigator, and he knew of their presence in the Black Nebula. In fact, he even knew that his prized vessel was about to detonate and take the entire nebula with it. He had arranged all of it so that he could take down the 2 chapter masters that were the highest threat to his success. Their lives would end here, and their skulls would be a gift to Khorne. An enraged Ares flew into an assault against the Demon Prince, his power sword flashing an aura stronger than ever before. With a great sweep, he cut down one of Doombreed's horns, provoking him into the duel. The entire bridge exploded into a blaze during the fight, the 2 mortals, the demon, tearing the ship apart from the inside out. Gario was knocked aside, unable to stop Doombreed from gutting Ares with his anthropic blade. While Ares lay dying, Doombreed stooped over him, reaching to remove his skull. Gariel then leapt up and in a desperate act threw his hammer across the bridge, striking Doombraid away. Before any of them could react, an explosion shook the entire ship. Time was up. The warp reactor had been breached. And this is where I will finish the lore on the Eternal Space Marines. Let me know what you guys think about this fan-made chapter. In my opinion, it is really awesome. Expertly painted. I mean, look at these images, guys. This is awesome. I will contact Blazbaros, I believe. Hopefully he can do a few images for my Celestial Sons, so we'll see where that goes. Anyway, guys, if you want to finish the story, or if you want to look at more of his creations, his artwork, I will link his deviantart below, and I will link the page to the wiki where you can finish this awesome lore. And there's a whole bunch more that I did not cover, so why not head on over there and give this guy a shout. Also, if you guys have your own custom Legion, don't forget to head on over to our Facebook page where you can send it to us via message and we will feature it. I do ask that you have enough lore to make a good video. Also, if you got images, that's greatly appreciated. And we'll go from there. As always, guys, I'm the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate. Special thanks to Blazbaros and his Legion. And now I am signing out.